Well, welcome to the Viking Press Pass, Season 2, Episode 8. I'm Matthew Nickel, and joining me today, running back for the Vikings, Ben Ludlum. So, Ben, thanks for joining me here today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, hey, now before we get started, I do want to shout out a new sponsor of the Viking Press Pass, but also is going to be sponsoring our Voices in the Stands podcast, which is a great partnership of folks across all of Division III with folks that have connections to Mary Hardin, Baylor, Utica, North Central, Whitewater, Eau Claire. So we're continuing to kind of and work with some great folks across all of Division III. So make sure check that out if you have not. But Tony Britt, Spotter Charts. So they serve sports media exclusively with customized cheat sheets for both prep and game time. They've got over 350 clients at all major networks, 23 NFL teams, 68 college football teams, and that goes across D1, D2, D3, and NAIA, and a bunch of variable pricing to ensure small schools like myself receive the same VIP service as those that are on ABC, CBS, ESPN, Fox, NBC, and NFL Network. So selfishly, thank you, Tony Britt, for that. And it has been an awesome service and partnership for, probably the last at least 4 years now. So that being said, on to Ben. So, Ben, Vikings are 2-1 overall. We're 1-1 right now in the conference. I had a chance to speak to Jimmy McCoo earlier in the week. But from a running back perspective, give me a little bit of your thoughts on how the running game was executed this past week at home versus Milliken, and what your thoughts were on that.
Oh yeah, of course. So going into the game, it was big. Like we need to run the ball. We need to run the ball this week. We know we can do this. We know, coming off Wheaton, it was tough. They got a real experienced D line, good defensive ends, all American defensive ends. So it was real tough to run the ball. So it was really big that we established that run game, really put that on film, and I think we did a great job of it. I think, of course, there's room for improvement. Obviously, things that could have done better, but it was really, yeah. As a running back, all I want to do is run the football. Like that's what I want to do. I protect the quarterback and everything, but run is what I want to do. So it's definitely awesome to get a chance to do that a little more and see the game plan revolve more around the run game. So
Now, the Vikings have just a long history of producing great running backs. Share a little insight to what it was like, sitting behind and kind of learning from folks like Tyler Rivelli, Mike Digioia, because you're now, stepping into that spotlight now, but reflect a little bit on what it was like kind of learning and sitting behind some of those folks.
yeah, it was a lot of the times you're sitting behind someone, you maybe despise them, or you're like, and that should be me. But sitting behind those guys, it was really helped me a lot. And like, I think one of the major things that really helped me respect them a lot was those guys. The entire running back room, all these 4 years has been like a family. Like it's super tight. We always like to say we're the tightest position group on the team, and it really feels like that. So even freshman year, like even guys like Jacob Brooks and Austin Yeager, Trip Gaynor, like all with Ty, like it was they're all super nice and respectful, and like learning the game from those guys, like it was awesome. Like I coming in freshman year, I thought I was, high school is easy. You're like you think you're the man. You come in and you see these guys. Like I see Ty Ravelli squatting almost 600 pounds, and then so like just being in the same room as those guys and like having that respect from those guys and like a mutual respect really helps you gain confidence, and it really makes you want to learn from those guys. So you know, Ty was Ty was a great friend, great running back. Mikey, also one of my closer friends, great running back. I learned so many different things from those guys. Ty was super quick and shifty and just would explode through a hole, and Mikey's just an absolute dog, just running through guys, straight physical runner. So it's nice, kind of. I've always been, especially in high school, I was more of like a speed only guy, like just outrun people. But learning those different aspects of the game, like learning how to read my reads correctly and really be patient and everything, that it has expanded my game so much. So very grateful for those guys.
Now, let's flip the script a little bit. You're now the senior. How are you kind of passing on some of that knowledge and ensuring that, the folks that are in the running back room, that are underclassmen get that same type of, experience and mentorship?
Just really instilling those it's really the little things, doing the same little things that those guys ahead of me did, being a good example, really talking, connecting with all the guys, freshmen, sophomore, juniors. That really helps a lot. If you got to make a connection with the guys, or they're not going to respect you as much as they can. And if you have that mutual respect and you guys love each other and you're close, like it's very easy to learn from each other. Just and I think especially like Josh. Josh has been great. He a year younger than me. We had a couple. I think it was one or two other guys in his class, but he's the only one. He's the only one standing from his class. So me and him to learn from those older guys. It's been fun to really pass it on to these younger guys. And I think that we got a good young class. Got some freshman running backs that are bigger than any of the running backs I've played with here. So definitely excited to see what they can do.
Yeah, how would you characterize the Bounds kind of 1-2 punch between you and Josh Lim?
I don't. I've thought about this a lot. It's hard to characterize as like a one or the other is better at like one thing or the other. I think it's just like we're both like Josh is a great running back. I think I'm a good running back, and I think just having both of us is really it's really dynamic. And I think especially when I like when we're both on the field at the same time. I mean, we rarely do it, but it really adds a lot. I think you know it's hard to characterize. Josh is very patient and very like sorry, I don't even know how to describe it almost. Like I think we're both very well-rounded backs, and I think just having one of those guys is good, but a running back you can't get 30 carries a game. It's
Gonna
just
wear
not it's
down.
just not going to work like that. You're going to wear down. And just having I said that like knows the offense and really plays at the same level as I do is it's awesome. Having that 1-2 punch. Coming off and seeing Josh like when I come off and I see Josh go in and score, like there's never animosity. It's always like, yeah, I want to see this guy eat, and it's awesome. Just having that love for each other really builds on that. So
You know, I mean, you are an incredibly physical runner. And I think what I've noticed this year is your ability to fight and gain another 1, 2, sometimes 3 yards. It feels like you're rolling off some tackles a little bit more this year. You're running through guys a little bit, even more so this year than I think you have in the past. Um, how do you feel like you've improved as a running back coming into this year?
yeah, coming into this year, definitely. I think I'm a lot more. The big thing is a lot more confident. Being that starting guy that everyone has that trust in you. Coach Jones, the OC, head coach, everyone's got that trust in you to be the main guy, and I think that's really helped me. And just honestly, all the reps that I've been like, you get in spring ball as the one and coming in, like it just the repetition really helps, like going through your reads every time, because going in like coming out of high school, we ran wing tee. I would run the same play every time, no footwork or anything, just run outside and outrun people. So coming in and learning from those guys, like you said, and then really getting all the reps has really helped me become a better back and be able to. The big thing was with me was always patience, because I was just used to just go go
Ready to
go.
go.
But being patient, and Jones is big on being square and downhill. So that's how it should be. So I've tried to adapt to that, put on some weight, just had that mindset of like you need to get those yards. If things are muddy, you don't want to just bounce it outside. You're gonna lose yards. You got to make something happen with your own body. So
Yep. Well, the patience is interesting because especially on some of the counter plays and some of those plays where you need to allow some of those blocking schemes, those linemen to move and get to their assignment. Patience is probably the hardest thing as a running back that you want to have, because as soon as you get that ball right, like you said, you want to be downhill. You want to get past the line of scrimmage. You want to get to the second level. But you can't do that if you're running into the hip of a pulling guard or a pulling tackle. Or so it's that patience that I think is probably the hardest thing for folks to wait for. But once they develop that, have a good vision, it's easy to get to the second level. So, um, now I was looking at kind of how this offense approaches each game. We're averaging 4.2, yards per rush per play, 6.5 per pass. We're running the ball right now about 44% of the time. Going into each game, how much of that offensive game plan installed during the week changes, once we're in the game? Um, any sense to, are we straying, much from kind of the game plan, or how we've kind of installed the offense going into the week, knowing who we're playing?
It really depends on how the defense comes out. You never you we always have these game plans. We know how much of the time they blitz, what coverages they run, who are their main guys, and how they like to move around, how they line up. And a lot of the times that stuff doesn't change. But coming into a game, a team might throw, like, a lot of the time they're not going to go by the game plan. They're going to try to throw us off, and they'll bring certain blitzes that we might not see. So a lot of times we'll every after the first drive, especially the first drive is most important. After the first drive, we'll go to the sideline, communicate. We'll talk to Jones up in the box, talk to the lineman, talk to the O line coach, see if they're moving around differently. But it really depends on how they come out. If we're sticking to the run and the run's working, we're gonna keep running the ball. But some teams, like, uh, I think it was Milliken, had a new defensive coordinator, so we weren't entirely sure, or that might have been, yeah, no, it was Milliken, but just, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because you go in, I think, expecting something with them, um, and ultimately it's like, well, hey, our run is opening up. We generally, thought that, maybe we were going to run, 3 or 4 plays on this opening drive, but hey, we're knocking 7, 8 yards off a rush, run it till you stop it, right? Like, take what the defense is going to give you to some degree. But you also want to try and play a little bit of your game. So I'm always kind of curious how, you know, we go in maybe the first, and I'm just, off the cuff, is the first 15 plays, maybe it's scripted to some degree, right? You're trying to understand and figure out what they're running and how they're going to respond to things and adjust from there. But I sometimes always just curious, like, man, we're clipping off 7, 8 yards a run. Why are we throwing it 4 times in a row? And, it's just me kind of, I'll just call it armchair quarterbacking it, from the booth or whatever. And I know, the coaches have kind of their game plan, and, maybe they're just trying to get different looks right early on and try and, bait the defense so they can come back and do something. So anyway, just always curious on how we balance things. Especially as we have, a new quarterback. You and Josh, are taking a ton of snaps, at the running back spot, and um, always interesting to see. Now, as a running back during the week, like, what are different, I would say, non-running activities that you're planning for or working on? Like, are you looking at, things like, changes to, how your blocking assignments are, various audibles. Are there things like that you as a running back are working on and kind of changing throughout the week? Or what does a week of maybe preparation look like? Maybe that's better asked. What does a week of preparation look like for you as a running back?
Yeah. So, uh, to start off the week, we always like to look at, just like the defense's box configuration. How they line up, what they're all about, how often they like to blitz, what type of coverages they run, and everything. So, and then we a lot of, like, blitz pickups. Blitz pickups is a big thing because protecting the quarterback is probably if not the most important job of the running back is protecting the quarterback. Um, so yeah, just we do a lot of. It's all about the defense, really. We know what we're gonna do. We know what we're capable of. We have our playbook. We know what schemes we're gonna run. And then I guess moving further in the week, after well, we focus on the defense the whole time and how they run. We watch a lot of film on what they do, how they align to certain fronts, certain alignments, and everything. And Jones is really good at seeing those things and putting us in the right position to succeed, putting us in positions where we know who we're going to be, where we're going to be, where we're going to end up. So really that repetition helps. And, we like you were talking about how different things change by game plan, as a running back, it's not too hard to like not a lot changes, but we're obviously against certain teams we're going to run more gap scheme or we're going to run more outside zone or inside zone. So like during that week we'll rep what we're going to run against the defense we're going to play. When we're up against our defense, we're not running to beat our defense that we're practicing against. We're running to beat the defense we're playing against.
Mm-hmm.
And we will have different. There'll be a few plays added in for different field zones or different looks that we're going to get that Jones knows when to call, and he's got that right moment to call it because he knows how the defense is going to line up and he knows who's going to be matched up with who. So it's really just repping, knowing what we're going to do, what our plan going in is, and repping those things throughout the week and installing those kind of, I guess, a little different play calls, or we'll switch something up on a play call depending on how their defense plays something.
Yep.
Just minor changes and fixes. Yeah.
Some little wrinkles and things like
Yeah.
that. And yeah. Um, yeah, I always like it when you guys shift, you kind of shift over to that more like wildcat, from time to time. Um, there's always little nuances and tweaks that I see kind of throughout the game. Like, oh, I haven't seen that before. Or, different, one of my favorite routes for the running backs, um, is, when you guys mix in that like backside boundary wheel route. And it always seems like it's called at such a perfect time that it's wide open. And as long as our protection is there, it's usually a nice little home run hitter from time to time. I always called it the Digioia special because I probably saw us do it more so with him in the backfield when, Rivelli was the starter. Um, but occasionally when I see that, getting the ball into the hands of, you or Josh, out into the open field is, it's always a nice little fun wrinkle. So those are the little ones like I get excited about, outside of just, busting open a big play. I love to see those little wrinkles. Like when you guys shifted to the Wildcat, I was like, oh yeah, let's go. Let's go. um, well, let's talk a little bit different. Let's jump over to your internship, and actually, so you had an internship at Rust-Oleum. I was gonna grab a little can and be like, I've got some Rust-Oleum here, and but the picture, you reposted on LinkedIn talked about like a couple locations, Pleasant Prairie plant and the Kenosha distribution center. So I think you were maybe hybrid though. So like what facility did you kind of help support, and tell me just a little bit about what the heck an e-commerce digital content analyst does, for 8 weeks or so during the summer.
Yeah, for sure. So I was located in the Vernon Hills, the corporate office. So it was like a little 50-minute commute, and but it was nice, like you mentioned, the hybrid. Only had to be in office 3 days of the week, which I mean it made sense because I mean a lot of the work I'm doing is on my laptop or on the computer. But to answer your question about e-commerce, yeah, I honestly didn't really know what e-commerce was going to be going in, but it was one of the later. I applied late to the internship and I got assigned to that. But it was a really awesome experience. The guys around me were awesome, and yeah. Sorry to answer your question. E-commerce, pretty much what I did was um, like product pages on Amazon and like Walmart's website, Lowe's website, all the retailers we sell our products on. Basically, e-commerce was in charge of making sure those like product pages were up to date with like pictures and making sure like descriptions were all right, make seeing like how many clicks certain pages were getting, which products were performing better and stuff like that. So it was a lot of like communication with Amazon and like other retailers to kind of get their websites up and running and making sure everything looks clean so our products can perform better.
Mhm. Nice. Yeah, very similar. I mean, H and I, where I work, we have an e-commerce side, and yeah, a lot of it's about like your Amazon store and some of the bigger kind of distributors like that, like you know kind of your direct to consumer path to some degree. Um, because we've been, our organization has been, we sell to dealer distributors and then people buy directly from our distributors, but we have some big box stores and stuff we go to as well. But I know for us, the big switch has been to, the Amazon side of things, the direct to, kind of direct to your consumer. What was like one of the biggest like takeaways that you had from your internship, or maybe what you enjoyed, most about it?
Uh, One of my biggest takeaways was definitely just it's very important to be curious and really put yourself out there, ask questions when you're not understanding things, and it was really great. My team, my e-commerce team, there were probably five or six. There were four or five guys who had like just graduated college, so pretty close to my age, and like I was able to connect with them very easily. So those guys definitely helped me a lot. It was easy to go to them for questions and like just the teamwork aspect of it. There was a lot of times I would work on an audit with someone else, and there's a lot of like moving parts that certain people have to work on at some times, and vice versa. So really just getting to like work with people in a real setting where you're
Mhm.
actually doing something for a company and helping them benefit was really awesome. And it was cool to see how like even in the real world, like teamwork and collaboration is like it's been instilled in me my whole life through sports, but it's so important in the workplace and getting things done and making sure that things better. But my favorite thing about the internship was the second, like 2 weeks in, my first week, I was barely doing anything, like no projects. I was kind of just sitting at my desk waiting for something to come my way. But I actually, all the interns got invited to the national sales meeting out in Phoenix, Arizona. So literally, I'd barely done. I think I'd started my first project like 2 days before I took my flight out to Arizona with 400 or 500 people from the company across the country and like people from Canada. So that was awesome. Just a national sales meeting. I didn't know what it was going to be. It was a lot of just kind of sitting in meetings and like understanding how the business worked. But just the fact that they sent me out to Arizona for a week and paid me to do that a week in really didn't expect anything from me, kind of just wanted to give me that experience. It was awesome. Got to go
Mhm.
kayaking out there, experience a super nice resort, everything paid off, all the expenses paid. So it was awesome.
Yeah, those travel trips can be pretty cool. My prior company, we had offices kind of all over the country. We did something similar out in Scottsdale, and we stayed on a golf course resort. And you had like your own little like bungalow, and got you know you moved around, from with golf carts and Phoenix is a pretty cool place, and kind of that Scottsdale place is pretty awesome too. And um, getting a chance to just get exposure to, I think, what the organization does is always super critical, and it's just a cool takeaway, right? Like, you never want to be the intern that, man, all you did was like make copies and you kind of ran errands and you did, work that's not meaningful. So anytime you're a part of anything meaningful, you get meaningful experiences, you make connections with, folks across the organization. um, it's huge, and it speaks volumes around, what folks are going to want to come and do, and be an intern there, the following year. Now, are you post graduation? Are you going back to Rust-Oleum? Have you kind of had any talks with them about that?
I have talked to them a little bit about it. Um, I'm not sure exactly what I want to do after graduation, but that is definitely one of my bigger options. I really respect how they are as a company in general, and I like that they have like a lot of vision for the future, and they're moving forward, and they treat their employees well. Like obviously, they sent me to Arizona after me being there for a few days, and so it's definitely a company that I would like to work for. Um, E-commerce, I'm not sure because e-commerce is kind of my majors are finance and management and communications. So e-commerce kind of strayed a little from that. So I would definitely be interested in working at Rust-Oleum, but maybe either gaining a little more experience in e-commerce or moving to like the finance department. And they talk a lot about it's very easy to switch, like it's hard to switch from company to company, but it's very easy once you're working at a company and you have that your work ethic established and they know what you're about, and it's a lot easier to switch from within a company and just switch departments depending on what you're better at or what you're more interested in.
100%. Yeah. First step, man. Get the foot in the door. And then kind of move around from there. Couldn't agree more. Well, tell me a little bit about your, aspiring journey as a fisherman. I heard that's a hobby you've been trying to delve a little bit more into.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been fishing too much, but I'm sure my dad probably brought that up with you.
You teed that up.
You-
Yep.
Yeah. I haven't had much time to fish, at least at school here, because it's all football, football, football. But over the summer, a lot um, would go to like little ponds and bring my fishing rod. It's really just kind of an escape for me. It's really about the relaxation. I don't care too much about reeling the fish in or how many fish I catch. It's really just I love nature. I'm a big nature guy. I love hammocking, going on hikes. So fishing just it's very relaxing. Just being out there by the water, sitting there, kind of being patient. Also helps with patience a little. So
Yep. I always used to say a bad day of fishing is better than a good day of working. So that's I think a common theme for sure. Now I also heard, again, thanks to your dad here, I also heard you spent a lot of time this past summer just kind of cooking and experimenting with new foods. So tell me a little bit about, what that's been like for you.
yeah. Um, I wouldn't say I'm a super good cook, but I do like to cook. Um I've always been a big food guy. My dad's really into food. He loves his restaurants. He loves cooking. He loves grilling. Um so I've always really liked food, and I've always liked trying new things. So I guess it's hard as a college student. I'm usually just making ground beef, chicken, rice, stuff like that. But um I've definitely been, especially my girlfriend too. I'll shout her out a lot because she gives me a lot of good ideas to on what to cook, um, different things to like just different ideas, and she has a different palate than I. So it's nice to cook things for her and her cook things for me. So I just enjoy cooking. I think it's a nice thing to do, and it's a good skill to have. But I definitely need to work on getting some more money so I can get some better ingredients and learning a few more things. So
100%. What's maybe been the best thing or worst thing or most exotic food you've ever had a chance to try that you either really like or you're like, man, I'm never gonna eat that again.
hmm, uh, I really don't like calamari. I don't. I wouldn't say that's exotic, but it's not even the taste. It's kind of just the thought of like I don't know. I'm trying to think of we travel. We travel a lot. My dad really likes to go to national parks and stuff, so we would we I've been to a good amount of states and just trying all the foods out there. Like going out to Maine and like Boston was awesome. Their like buttered lobster rolls, one of the best things I've ever had. Um, I guess I like pizza, ground elk on pizza. That wasn't very good. I didn't. I'd rather stick to the sausage or beef, but
Yeah,
you know,
that'd be a little different. I mean, elk can be very gamey. It depends on how you really cook it. You got to prepare it, kind of a certain way. I remember I was out in Boulder, Colorado. Gosh, it's probably what 2 years ago now, a year ago now, and I tried squid when I was out there, and it's probably the most exotic thing I've tried in a while. And there's usually like I don't care for raw or cooked oysters. We were just out in Savannah, Georgia, about 2 weeks ago, and again, I'm like, I'm not even gonna try it again. Um, but man, when I ate the squid, like it was chewy and it just had like an awful aftertaste. But pretty much anything else, like I love eel. I love deer, I love elk, I love a lot of that stuff. But yeah, I wouldn't try the squid, man. If you're not a fan of I love calamari, but God, I tried squid and I was like, no, I'm good. Like, you can
yeah,
keep that.
I've never been a big sushi guy or like never been the biggest fish guy. So I would definitely stay away from the squid.
Now, do you enjoy watching any like cooking shows at all, or or even you and your girlfriend is like some downtime?
Not necessarily like specific cooking shows. You know, growing up, my dad would have cooking shows on, so I would watch some of that with him. The Gordon Ramsay ones are always funny. Um, but no, every once in a while we'll watch like honestly more than like a cooking thing. I'd watch like food challenges. Like there's some good ones out there where people like only eat at like certain restaurants for certain days or like have this diet for certain days and like kind of see what they do with it. Like I just watched this one guy who's only on like a hot dog diet for a week and he would do like different like sausages, Polish sausages, and like he would do like a bunch of different toppings. So kind of cool to like see some different ideas and like combos of what I might want to try on something. But yeah.
Well, do what I did. Find a wife that cooks really well. So, and, I just worry about the grill. That's all I got to do. Um, well, just as we kind of start to wrap things up here, I know you have some stuff you have to take off too. What's been maybe just a favorite memory so far? Over the course of your, college football career at Augie.
Mm, that's a tough one. Um, hmm. Maybe not a super specific one, but one that kind of made me realize how much I love this place and how much I love the guys around me was my freshman year when I broke my collarbone against Elmhurst. I was a freshman, had been here for like 5 weeks, and I was out for the season. So I was like, I came here to play football. Like my initial reaction was like, what am I doing here? Like I came here to play football. I can't play football. Like and but really what kept me around was the guys around me, especially the running back room. All those guys like they didn't look at me differently. They didn't treat me differently. It's just like natural like friendship, like a genuine friendship that really kept me here. And like all my roommates, all the guys around me were super tight knit. The team was super tight knit, and I just loved being around the guys. So that really helped me like boost my confidence and make me push me to recover and get better. And as soon as I'm healed, I'm getting back to work. So
I like it. Well, lastly, if there's anyone in particular you'd like to thank, family, friends, coaches, any shout outs, you'd like to make, or any final thoughts you have that you want to share, floor is all yours.
yeah, for sure. I would definitely like to thank all my teammates. The O line, especially they work very closely with us. All the other running backs, Josh, Nick, everyone. I mean, all the running backs I've been with these last 4 years have really helped me become the man I am today. So all those guys, Coach Jones is by far the best coach I've ever had. You know, he puts us in all the right positions, really pushes us to be the best version of ourselves, and you can tell he trusts you, and you can't help but trust him because he really knows what he's doing. The most football smart guy I've ever met, and you got to respect the hell out of him. Definitely all my roommates for sure. You know, keeping me here, making life after football, life outside of football, fun and still to be here, and definitely my family and my girlfriend for being a big support system all the time. You know, my dad texts me constantly. He just sent me some Pedialyte so I don't cramp. So, you know, big support system back home. They come to every game, even if it's 2.5, 3 hours away. They're gonna be there. So it's definitely awesome. Definitely awesome.
I love it. Well, Ben, thanks again for connecting with me today. Good luck this weekend at North Park. Unfortunately, I can't make the trip, so I will be watching from afar over the next 2 weeks. So, again, appreciate joining me today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
If you like today's episode, make sure to just subscribe to the Viking Press Pass. 4 letters, 1 year, word. 4 letters, 1 word. Yay!